Well, hello everybody. Here we are as we are going to get into what is the penultimate episode of this Project Cronus' very first season. We've got a lot to do, we've got a long way to go, and a short track to get there. So let's go around quickly and talk to all of our Olympians, see how they're doing and who they will be playing as we jump on over to Kiana. Kiana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just did some honey heist this morning, and I'm doing a total 180 in tone to whatever's gonna happen today. I am nervous and excited, but that's just me every single week in this game. um, yeah, I don't know what May's gonna find out today, but hopefully it's okay. Question mark.
We'll see. We'll see. That's right. And as we jump from May over to Aphrodite, Summer, how are you doing today? And who will you be playing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm hype. I'm excited. I'm not nervous at all. I'm just all smiles. But I'm going to be playing Aphrodite. Haven't seen Mimi in a while. Who knows where she is? Poor kid.
Yeah. She's somewhere, I guess. Oh, well, let's drop right down to Finny. Finny, how are you doing today, buddy? And who will you be playing?
I'm sticking with Terrified, as always, because it's Saturday. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I feel fortunate, because there's a great group of people that we'll be playing with. And Terrified again, because of the name of the episode. So, Terrified wins out, though, 2-1. So I'll be playing Honest Pete Abraham, currently local lawyer with, it looks like, an affinity for politics.
It looks like he might have a future there, if a future is something that any of you have. Let's jump on over to Dawn. Dawn, how are you doing today? And who will you be playing?
I'm great. I've been looking forward to getting back into this. I love our story that we're telling here. I am Barnabas Norwood. Barney in 1915 is just retired from the Navy. He had a great career, starting to get more and more into the occult. He's a little bit of a folk sorcerer. So folk magic is safer than Cthulhu Eldritch God magic. It's a little more wholesome, if you will. And he's at the beginning of that journey right now.
Right. It's completely without risk. It is the perfect compromise between normalcy and sorcery. Everybody, I also would like to introduce kind of as the surrogate to our fifth party member who is actually in chat. Lord Conti is here today, everybody. Lord Conti is working behind the scenes night and day to bring you the creatures that have given these Olympians and the Olympians of Project Athena so much anxiety and trouble. I'm here to tell you that the creative genius has come up with yet another one, and it is something else. We shall see it played out today. But before we go in, if you think that that is an ominous warning, it's because it's an ominous warning. You should then look down to the donation levels below if you would like to help these Olympians in any way. You may give them crits, which are natural 20s or the critical 1 successes of the Cthulhu system from Chaosium, and you can help in other ways. We have boons that are actually going to come into play today too, as Barney has one coming in, and we've got 2 for Pete as they come through. The crits are located on the overlay and evidenced by the Vote for Pete campaign buttons that you see along each of the portraits of the characters. Now, without further ado, so we can get in here and see exactly what's going into this, our penultimate episode, we are going to go back to go forward just so we can say these are the headlines, newspaper-wise, that you can expect to have here as our recaps, if anything, don't really recap, but they're short for me and I enjoy them. So, to the headlines, everybody. Newfangled internet fails. 50-foot cat cable, perfect. A daughter is laid to rest without the contents of her pockets. Duchamps had a directory with the names of several passengers. Next stop Milan and Maria Stagliani. Pete spins the good times. All aboard the Love train. Fashion Week wraps up ribcage hats all the rage. Home is where the heart was. Tyrannish coming, me going. Barney and May sitting on a bed. READING. In the cabin of Lorna Campbell Barnes, let Jesus take the wheel and pilot fly the plane. This just in, Election Day. Vote early and vote often. And so, my Olympians, as you are currently in the room of Lorna Campbell Barnes, you have just found out about the Gospel according to Pilate. We are a day away from Milan. What would you all like to do before you get there? Nothing. As we pull into Milan.
None. We're good, Greg. Yeah, no.
I think Barney's main concern is keeping an eye out for suspicious behavior. In his mind, there are other body snatchers out there probably, that Emile Deschamps wasn't the only one, and that obviously he thinks that this Maria Stagliani, she's going to be their next target. So he's probably trying to, like, as subtly as he can, try to find some body snatchers.
Okay, how would you like to go about finding those that may snatch bodies?
I think so. He'll walk around a lot, as much as, and I think at this point is have things calmed down in the train. Like, can we get between cars a little more easily?
Absolutely. They've even opened up the car that was kind of your old car that had experienced the fire damage. They've cleaned it up enough. You can't get into any of the suites or the bed areas, but the hallway's open, so you can get all the way from the locomotive to the caboose. Everybody seems to be actually in a surprisingly good mood, considering that they are kind of behind schedule and the oddities that have happened. But because of the work of Honest Pete Abraham and the wave of love that crept over the entire train, or a good portion of it, it seems that a lot of the kind of rage and hostility was diffused by trick of the tongue and mysticism. So yeah, it's surprisingly okay.
So I think his number one approach to this is going to be, he's going to walk, he's going to try to take notes on people he sees. He's going to spend a lot of time in the dining cart. And Barney has read a good deal of early science fiction, and he's very influenced by this right now. So in his mind, body snatchers probably don't eat as much as normal people. Maybe they don't have to, whatever creature Emile Deschamps was, that sort of being. So he's going to try to figure out who has a regular schedule and who is not spending time in the dining cart and doing the normal things, who's an outlier.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to go around and talk to everybody else. Dawn, so why don't you go ahead and roll me 3 spot hiddens for your time spent in the car. As Finney.
Would Pete, having been there for a while, would he be able to offer any kind of particular advantage on watching said individuals in the dining car?
You mean like telling him to rule out certain people, like, oh, I've been around enough to know that this person's been eating?
Yeah.
That question would then go to Barney. Is this something that Barney would share with Pete?
Yeah, I think at this point, Barney's pretty open with the team about what he's doing. They're starting to work a little bit more as a team after, being in a couple of life and death situations. So yeah, and he'll keep notes, and anything he learns, he would share, and vice versa. He would ask what other people have noticed.
Okay, so we'll say over the course of the next day, as you're kind of chugging into Milan, as you're sitting there viewing the people in the dining hall and just throughout the train, you take your findings of maybe people that have acted suspiciously or caught your eye, and then we're going to say that advantage is given to you by Pete because he's able to say, no, I talked to this one, or, oh, no, I've seen her eat, or I've, in his own kind of, so he's, by process of elimination, suspects are whittled down between both your observations and what Pete has been able to give you about his observations. So I tell you what, you roll them each with advantage as you both are working on this. So each roll would be done with
Okay.
advantage.
So 2 extreme successes and a regular success.
Okay. So we're going to get back to that. First, I would like to know what May and Aphrodite are doing.
May's going through the notes again. On a Campbell Barnes notebook. Going over it more and more, trying to figure out, what does this shorthand mean? What this cryptic note could mean? Is there anything weird that should it be? If I'm taking this as somebody's research into this gospel that she's been seeking, there's something that sticks out to me as an interesting little tidbit or clue or hint.
Okay. Roll me a... We'll give you 3 as well. Library use, please.
Okay.
Okay. So 1 success and 2 fails as you are kind of looking through the notebook of not a mad woman, but somebody who is not organized with the thoughts, have their own type of mental filing system here. So with somebody that's as meticulous as May is with circuitry and things, this is a challenge in and of itself to kind of wade into this type of stuff. What is Aphrodite doing at this time?
I would say she's probably sticking to the car with Ruby's body in it for the most part, but she's definitely feeling people out. Like she's constantly just kind of filtering through the static of just the general emotions of people on the train, and kind of waiting to see if anything changes. And she would probably check out while she's just walking around. She gets it all done at once. Go to the front and figure out where Simon went, because they are not on the train. So she's curious about finding out how he left. Is there another teleportation rune? How did he get out of here, basically?
Okay. Roll me a spot hidden for Simon, and then as far as your kind of getting a feel for how people are feeling, give me a power roll for that one.
Okay.
Okay, and now that we've kind of had this, we'll say we're chugging into Milan right now, and we're going to go in reverse order to show you or tell you guys what you've discovered during these rolls that you've just had. So, Aphrodite, you are able to uncover that Simon and whoever he was with, apparently a gentleman and a woman, left the train shortly after the stop or the commotion that was the separation of the cars. It seems that the train never stopped. They never left. You find their room is completely clean. You don't find anything that would resemble a teleportation circle or evidence of magic. The only thing you can come up with is that they probably jumped. Now, as far as your power roll, you feel at an empathetic level what everybody is kind of experiencing as far as Barney and Pete. Everyone seems to have almost a supernatural calm about them that has been given to them by Honest Pete Abraham and that surge of love that you had last episode. It's something too, though, that you notice with this deliberate extension of your powers as you're drinking in the area. You continue to experience that extreme unease, that dread, whenever somebody's in close proximity with you. You are extremely off-putting. And people are because of the state that they're in, you think that if they were in a more negative state, that they might actually not do something, but promote something to be done about you. But they're in a state right now where they're just kind of accepting that you're here, but they don't like it at all. I will say this, and I'll leave this up to the player. Whether or not Aphrodite would realize that her current appearance is something that needs to be taken care of, or if she doesn't care at all, then she could continue to exist in this fashion. But it is something that will draw attention, if not to Aphrodite, to the entire group that she's walking with.
Well, I think we know how many shits Aphrodite gives.
I was just throwing it out there. I too already knew the number of shits. So let's go backwards to go forwards. As we go over to May, Kiana, as May is going through the book, it's difficult, like we said, but we're going to say even with the failures, because you've spent time, you've started your own sort of like organization. You've pulled out all of the pages that were loose. You've kind of noted where they go in the book in case it would ever have to go. You started organizing it yourself. It's difficult to kind of figure out exactly what the rationale is of a note taker while you yourself are kind of organizing the notes. But here's one thing you do find out with your one success. She was currently researching the Gospels of both Thomas and Pilate. And what you can gather, just as you're putting this all together, both the Gospels of Thomas and the Gospels of Pilate, which isn't really the Gospel of Pilate, it's called the Acts of Pilate. They both speak of a far different version of the crucifixion of Christ. You haven't found specifics yet, but you believe that they probably exist somewhere in this tome, but the hints and kind of the references back are contradictory. You see, like, the original gospel writers, or the accepted gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and you'll see where she kind of crossed out things and wrote, like, contradiction, question marks, things like that, and you're beginning to see what might have been either falsely identified in this Thomas gospel and Pilate, or something that wasn't verified with the accepted gospels. There's a lot of confusion between the accepted and the Thomas and Pilate versions. You haven't found any specific notations of that yet, though. And as we go back over to the intrepid duo who are checking for body snatchers, as you're sitting there and watching everything, you continue to cross names off your list, Barney, until you get to the point where you have no more names. You haven't noticed anyone acting too strangely. Everyone seems to be eating. You haven't come across anybody, unless they've been held up in their rooms for the past day and a half. You don't see anybody that stands out to you. As a military man who has been bred to assess threats, you haven't found any threats to assess.
Yeah, I think Barney would note to Pete, as they're sort of, keeping an eye out and sharing what they know about people. After the last couple of days, Pete, I'm not sure that there's anyone left on this train that's part of whatever group is opposing us. But once we get to Milan, we got to keep an eye out for more of them, because her name was on that list. And even if that weird little kid is off the train, I can't imagine that this is over yet.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Trust no one except ourselves.
Hey, you seen Joe? Where's Joe?
Oh, I lost track of him.
Wasn't your turn to watch him, right? Yeah, Joe's around if needed. Joe's been as narratively placed. Joe's been spending an awful lot of time with May, helping her with the glove as she was examining it and some of the other things that were found. He wouldn't have too much of an interest in the book, and as May has been spending the last day with the book, he probably would have been walking around, maybe keeping kind of a distant eye on Aphrodite. Aphrodite, you would have noticed that too. Obviously, it's been kind of written at this point that Joe is kind of sort of average at a lot of things and not really great at anything. His involvement with the Olympians is cloudy at best. So,
Pete, you notice Joe doesn't really do very much. I'm not really sure what exactly his thing is. I'm sure he's got one. We've all got a thing. He just sort of spends a lot of time around May.
Maybe he fancies himself a ladies' man. You can't fault him for that.
Well, I don't think this is the appropriate time for that. We're here on a mission. We're here for work, and I don't know. I feel like he's not telling us something.
Well, they definitely say things about all work and no play, Bonnie.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're right, Pete.
And with the discoveries or lack thereof of the Olympians, the Orient Express chugs into Milan. Because of the delays that have been given, what would have been an overnight trip in Milan is going to be about an hour as offload takes place and intake takes place, so they can chug on to Venice, hopefully to be there in the morning.
So we only have an hour before the train starts. As soon as between stop and start, we need to be back on the train. We have 1 hour.
Yep. Basically, because of rail designations and stuff during the time, the amount of time that the express has gotten itself behind has to kind of narrow that track window that it has, so it needs to chug on for Venice.
So if the team reconvenes at a point as the train's rolling into Milan, I think Barney will say, we don't have long, but we need to, I don't know, somehow get a word to this Maria Stagliani. I don't know where she is or how to reach out to her. Any of you have any ideas?
If I was to make a guess, Barnabas off of the book, I think she's supposed to be a passenger.
Oh, yeah, that's good thinking. She's probably already out there.
She's probably waiting. She should be coming, but I don't know how I'd be able to pick out who she'd be.
Well, Renee might be able to help with that. I feel like he owes us one. We've sort of handled the situation for him so far, and but I don't want to scare her, but we need to stay on her. We need to make sure that nobody else gets to her until we can figure out who else is going to come onto the train that might be, one of those things.
I don't know what we tell her. It's just, oh, yes, there might be a danger in your life. May not be the best way to open up a conversation.
No, we have to find something a little more subtle than that, I think. Maybe this is just a precaution. We've had we're doing this for everybody. Also, Aphrodite, what's Aphrodite wearing right now again?
Just my good old ripped up dress,
While I appreciate that everything you've done for us, I think as we move forward and we're interacting with new people and making first impressions, and I'm not a fashion man myself, but maybe we try to normalize you so that you can, people are giving you some looks, and I know I don't think do you care? Well, it doesn't matter.
No, I don't care.
I thought that might be the case, yeah. But you know what I mean. We're going to need to fit in. We're going to need to not draw attention to ourselves if we're going to get what we want. We still have a long trip to get to Constantinople.
I understand.
No. So who wants to be on Maria Stagliani duty?
Well, if the gift of gab is needed, I would gladly throw my hat in the ring.
I think that's a good idea, Pete. Very good idea. You got that pistol of yours too, right? Just in case.
Always.
Oh, good. Joe, what about you? You have any ideas? Any thoughts?
Well, I think that everything as you said is good. We find this Stagliani woman, and see if we can protect her. Who is going to clean up Aphrodite? Whose job is that? That has to be someone's job. I would take it.
It's not your job though. Yeah, I mean, Aphrodite. I'll let her speak for herself.
It's not my job. I was not volunteering. I was saying that she is, no offense, she's incapable of doing something to better her appearance. So it goes without saying that she needs some type of help.
She's just staring at Joe. Just like unblinking staring at him.
Aphrodite, if you need help, I can help you. It's just totally up to you.
I don't like how restricting it feels.
We can just look at the many clothes that Mimi got.
No, I think I'll take some of his clothes. And she's still staring at Joe.
I've only brought 2 suits. They are cut for a man with broad shoulders, and they're generously cut around the crotch area. I had to have it dropped several inches.
I'll make do.
I still think that this does not help us. If she is wearing my clothes, then she looks like someone who is wearing. She's not dressed. She's not. Am I wrong? Some support here would be nice. She's not dressed like a woman. We want her to fit in, correct? Oh, everyone's quiet now. This is sure. Okay. It's Joe's clothes, so that's fine.
Has a kind of conflicted look on her face. If she's at least isn't, exposing as much skin, I think that would be at least an improvement.
I think that we are pulling the stitch out one at a time here. We should just rip it open and be on with it. This is like we're taking baby steps. Is that Pete? Is that the baby steps? Yeah, I mean we are not doing. It's fine. I'm sure. You may have my suits that are cut for me and tailored, but fine.
May just kind of looks over at Betty. That work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This doesn't work for me. I was expecting some support, but okay. I guess
Maybe
we are
like a
really
hat or
doing this.
something. If she wears a hat, people won't even notice.
Or she could put some glasses on her too, and all of a sudden she's a professor. No, it's not.
Hey,
What is she? I mean, there's going to have to be like a rag and a cloth, some soap involved as well. No offense.
Yes.
Effort.
We will deal with this. Joe, how about we go and get your clothes? And she'll kind of like stand up and just kind of.
Yeah, sure.
I'll go too if you guys need
No, we're fine. Bonnie, you stay here and not say anything. And whenever she wants to wear your clothes, I'll make sure I return the favor. Yeah, so he'll walk off with May towards where his clothes are. The entire time, like as he's leaving, you guys would be able to clearly hear, I only have 2 suits here, so just this is gets comfortable in seeing me in this, so I'll be wearing.
We'll figure something else and
We don't have time. I have to wait till Venice to eat, and they disappear. So we're left with Barney, Pete, and Aphrodite in this section. You guys, it's a similar setup to when you guys took to the Orient Express. In that one car down past the social is set up as like the area of entry into the train proper. You can tell though, as with the fanfare in Paris, there's very little here. You see that the entire staff has run out, that new staff has met them in Milan, and they are absolutely kind of like bum rushing the Orient Express, trying to clean it up. There's a whole staff that seems to have been ready and waiting just to jump on to help with intake, and then getting off of the train. So you see it's a very rapid thing going on, but you can see where everybody's getting on.
But Pete, Aphrodite, if you want to keep an eye out and try to work with Renee to find this Maria, I think I want to try to, I don't know, see if I can't spot anyone who looks suspicious, might be, after her.
If you do see someone, let me know.
Absolutely, I will. Absolutely.
Yes, let her know.
At this moment, right before we take a break and kind of split off to where we're going to go, I would like to let the Olympians know that Architect put in a fantastic donation that will be coming into play at some point. I know where I want it to be. I'm not sure when we'll get there, but it'll be either in this episode or the next. But it's a really good one, and I like it a bunch. Very Cthulhu. So, Aphrodite, where are you going to hang out now that a bunch of new people are coming on the train and you still look like a psychopath? No offense.
No, it's okay. I'll just stay in the room for now until I'm, I guess, cleaner. I guess if that's what's happening to me.
There was a promise of scrubbing. I don't know, but
we'll see. We'll see if that ever happens. But yeah, no, she's gonna stay out of sight. She knows that people are giving her looks, and she doesn't want it to affect the rest of the group. So she'll stay low for now.
Okay. So you're kind of just peeking out the window of your kind of the compartments that were given to you all.
Getting some vibes.
Just picking up the vibes. Go ahead and roll the ye old power check for me as you kind of extend your feelings out. Reach out with your feelings, Aphrodite. And Barney and Pete, what are you two doing? Are you guys making your way down to like the social hall?
Yeah, are they going to be doing the same kind of like intro, like when we got on the train, how they had like a bunch of the porters lined up when we walked in? Like, is it still the show, or is it just more, hey, get on the train?
The show is not here. It basically, where you guys each walked in and you met your porters, like your individual porters, they seem to have a couple people stationed to kind of grab people as they come on, but it's nothing like what you guys... They're taking them directly to their compartments, too. So the social car's open, but it's not a focused area of like a... There's a promise of a cocktail party that night on the way to Venice, but not something in Milan. They need people seated and stowed so they can get moving again.
But the people are moving through the social car, right, to get to their compartments?
Yeah, they're moving through it, but their entry into the train is still the social car.
Okay.
I think Barney will try to get to Renee, let him know that he suspects that more, and he'll call them foreign agents, may be attempting to infiltrate either the passengers or the staff in Milan or maybe in Venice, and to ask him, basically he wants to be introduced to the new staff that's incoming, and to have Renee keep an eye out and let him know if he meets anyone who kind of is acting suspicious.
Sure, it takes you a minute as Renee seems to be very agitated. We'll get to that in a moment too when we go back to Aphrodite. But he's spinning 1,000 plates on 1,000 sticks, holding it with two hands. It seems that, as he's told you guys, his big problem is going to come in Venice. Milan is a skip point, and Venice is a major point of debarkation, or stopping and kind of switching for the Orient, and that is where his fate lies. He's trying to make everything else go by the book until then, and so when you come up, he's not dismissive, but he's kind of, we, and he's pointing as you talk, and he nods back and says, "Oh, yeah, as soon as we must get everyone on board, and as soon as we get everyone on board, I will send them, and you can see them." And he's just kind of pointing the entire time. And you mention Maria Stagliani to him as a person of interest for you, or are you waiting to do that?
Yeah. He will say, there's one, and he won't mention why, but he'll say there's one person who's coming on in Milan that we're supposed to meet with. Very important that when she arrives, you point her out to me, Renee. Her name is Maria Stagliani.
You can see, at least by the expression he gives you, the name doesn't hold anything with him, no, visible reaction to it, but he just nods, oui, Maria Stagliani, oui. And you can see he doesn't write it down, but this is a conductor of the Orient Express. He can probably commit such things to memory. There's a ton of people coming and going, though, from the train at this point. You guys are sure to hang out if you want to wait and see if she passes this area, catch her before or catch her as she goes onto the train. As of right now, though, you're close enough to the person that's taking the names, you can hear each person coming on.
With oh, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, being with Barney, I would request, since it's a stop, to set my watch to Renee's so that the time would be in sync.
At this, Renee does not look irritated, but he takes the 30 seconds it takes to kind of prime both of your watches to drop to the second hand of the, and you can see, he's like, he knows every second counts between, the life that he's known and poverty. And with each click of both of your watches, he's just getting more and more tense as you see his jaw kind of lock, and you see the line above and below the mandible as his teeth could probably spit through steel at this point. And as soon as it drops to the top of the second hit, you both kind of click and link up, and he just immediately kind of pulls away from you guys so he can get back to what he's doing, as you are linked up now with presumably the correct Orient Express time.
All right, I would also give him a pat on the back and just tell him that he's doing an excellent job, Renee.
When you pat him, it feels like you're patting a statue. Like he's that tense. Like the muscles in the back of his neck and the top of his back. It's just like you're knocking on a door. And you can tell that while your words were meant to comfort and he took them as such, no true comfort was given, as Renee is, as mentioned numerous times, in a world not of his doing, but a world nonetheless of shit. So we'll go back to Aphrodite, as in the cart, you're sitting there reaching out with your feelings, and with your power roll, you are able to figure out the following. You can actually feel Renee from here. The man is a ball of stress, as are all the members of the staff that had been here. It's kind of bleeding from him as a pyramid scheme, and they're all realizing, oh my God, if he's in trouble, I might be in trouble, and you can kind of feel this just generalized tension in the Orient Express right now. You also feel, as you're sitting there kind of waiting and extending out, while you can't pinpoint the exact location of it, you feel extreme sadness, profound sadness, but you can't tell where it is. It's just around you somewhere. And May, let's go back up to you and Joe, as Joe is reluctantly handing you a suit as he is explaining how he stood for this suit in Berlin for 4 hours, and it took several fittings of the shoulder region to get it right where he wanted. There is numerous questions about how the crotch had to be dropped until it fit him perfectly, and the tailor said that, he never cuts him this low, and blah blah blah. As so, here's the suit. It is for the princess. The princess can wear the suit now.
May places like a hand on his arm. It's just for now until we can figure out some other form of clothing for her that she'll want to wear.
He seems to visibly calm at your touch on his arm. No, you're right. I'm being selfish. She's been through quite a bit, and she still looks like Mimi.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with that either. But, well, it seems like we just gotta keep going until we figure out things.
Yes, may I confide something in you? Just between the two of us.
Yeah. But
I have never been in this type of position, May. I feel at a bit of a loss with the group. Everyone seems to have dropped into a role that they perform well. Even Aphrodite, she seems. I mean, she possesses skill sets beyond. She's fantastic. I'm used to not being the best. Does this make sense? Am I making sense? Am I saying this right?
yeah. No, I think that makes sense. I mean, I don't think any of us really talked about why we were invited on the team. Do you know why?
I've always had a passion for learning about those that I'm around, and I have an affinity for it. Where the longer I am with, they said it was fly by night. They said that I was someone that couldn't keep a focus when I was in school, but I always liked the different subjects. So I would stay with the teachers that was the flavor of the week, and I would learn everything that they had, and they would do so quickly. And they said that I had the ability to learn different subjects rapidly, but it seems I am not. It's not quick enough for me here with all of you.
Well, you're picking up pretty fast on all of the stuff with the glove, the jetpack,
Yeah, it's just you do not know me, so it's odd for me to confide and make a confession. But
well,
it is.
I mean, we're in a team together, and I mean, you've been helping me while I was recovering, so thanks for that.
Yeah. It's well, enough. I sound like a princess. I sound I must wear this. I am having problems with my clothes. Blah blah blah. Yes. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime. Yeah. I'm glad that you could confide in me.
Yeah, I usually don't, but perhaps I'm learning. Perhaps it's the princess and her feelings. It's that's how I'm learning. I'm learning about feelings and sharing. Let's take her suit. And he swings his suit over his shoulder.
Yeah, May will walk with him maybe a smidge more comfortable. Smidge closer.
Okay. So as you all get there, we're going to say that a couple, about 25, 30 minutes pass, and I need spot hiddens from both Barney and Pete. Okay, so Barney, as you're sitting there, Pete, you're kind of looking one way, Barney, you're looking the other, and as happenstance would have it, you see a woman coming towards you, dressed head to toe in black. You really assume it's a woman. There is a black veil over the face. The dress is cut to suggest that it is a feminine form. And as this woman gets to the conductor, that is the intake conductor, she introduces herself as Maria Stagliani. She's quickly checked in and ushered inside.
When you say she's dressed all in black, does it look like for a specific purpose, or is this like, my brain immediately goes to funeral, but is there anything about it that screams particular reason for her dress? Like, does she look like she's mourning?
Yeah, because of your hard success on the spot hidden, it definitely looks funereal. Like, it looks like it's either a sign of continued mourning, or it's like a destination. She's been at a funeral, she's going to a funeral, that type of thing.
Once she passes by, Barney will lean over and sort of give Pete an elbow. Hey, Pete, that was her. You see her there? Looks like she just came, maybe going to a funeral or something.
Ah, a lady in mourning. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. And Pete will kind of follow behind her. Is she getting ushered through?
She seems to be traveling alone. You can tell, though, that everyone kind of has a ticket that they walk in, and then they have a ribbon. You all received the same ribbon when you came in. You realize that ribbon corresponds with luggage. So she probably does have luggage, but it's being brought on separately.
Barney will hang back and just kind of continue to look. He's basically looking for anyone who might be following or seems to be taking also an interest in her or Pete.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whoever's hanging back, you can give me another spot hidden.
I'll spend 1 luck to make that a hard success.
Okay. That is the best 1 point of luck that has ever been spent in Project Cronus. You're looking around, and just as you think, no, there's just a kind of a trail of people coming on here. You see a kind of a hunched over older man, and as he comes in, he has a wide brim hat that is pulled down, very large. You can see from here the thickness of the lenses of the spectacles that he's wearing. And as he gets closer, he keeps his head down, and when he kind of just points to a name on the list as the conductor looks, the conductor waves him on. And as he gets in and grabs the rail to pull himself up, he casts a glance back, not toward you, Barney, but kind of in your direction. And as it turns and looks for the briefest of moments, whether it's the geometry of the face or just the silhouette as it catches the light, you realize that this is an older version of Emile Duchamp's.
Goddamn aliens. Does he, when he points to the name, was Barney able to maybe see what name he points to on the list? Or is it too fast?
that was too far away. It was literally like, flip of a pad. You could of course ask.
He won't ask right away. Instead, as he sees the man turn and look past him towards him, Barney will also turn and greet a random oncoming patron, somebody who's entering the train, and just sort of if there's a person that's approaching to sign in, he'll just kind of offer him a hand. He'll say, welcome to the Orient Express. Good to meet you. Come on in.
Roll a charm or fast talk for me, please.
Do I know these things? I don't think I do. I'll crit it.
Okay, so with the crit taking you from 4 to 3, you turn around and the old admiral puts on a perfect smile, one that speaks of pink skies at night. And as you turn and shake the hand of an older woman coming up, she immediately falls into a flurry of Italian that do you understand Italian?
I do not.
Okay. With this flurry of Italian, you don't really need to understand anything, as she is, she kind of as you shake her hand, she falls in and takes your arm. It is as believable a first meeting looking like a long time reunion as there's ever been on this particular platform in Milan. And though you're not looking in that direction, the older version of Emile Duchamps, as his gaze goes by, sees this exchange, thinks nothing of it, and enters the train.
As soon as he's gone, Barney will graciously make sure that help get the woman checked in, say, well, thank you. I hope you enjoy your trip. Relax, have some food, have some drinks. Doesn't know if she can understand him at all. He's just going through the motions. And then he will ask more privately to the man working, hey, that man with the brimmed hat back there, where is he on the list?
He waits for a second, as there's a bit of a break between people now as the final people are coming in. He knows who you are, and he goes down through and he points to a name, and it says Augustus Caparelli.
Augustus Caparelli. Ain't that a name? But hey, thank you. Thank you very much. And you too, ma'am. Enjoy your trip. Stay safe out there. And Barney will turn, and he's going to, like a speed walk, pushing people out of the way, try to get back to their personal carts because he wants to get to Aphrodite.
Okay, so as you depart, you hear the presumably Italian woman. Just all you hear is, oh, Americano. Oh. Yes, you walk off as she is either smitten with your hospitality, your appearance, or all of the above as you make your way back. With the prior power check, too, Aphrodite, you would feel that presence that you felt when you battled Emile Duchamps, and you would feel it in the same proximity as would be the train.
Perfect.
Okay, so about 20 minutes later, and chug, the Orient Express pulls forward, and we'll say that everyone reconvenes in your suite of cabins at about the same time. Joe and May return with the suit. Barney can return with the information. And Pete, what are you doing at this time?
I would have attempted to at least kind of start a bit of a conversation with Maria. Probably Pete, being somebody who represented plenty of trip and fall cases, would probably attempt some kind of a charming intro with Miss Maria Stagliani.
Okay, as soon as she gets onto the train, you see her kind of cut forward in the same direction as where your compartments are, but as soon as she gets into the first bank of private cars, she turns into the first compartment and opens the door and goes in to sit down. She does not stay in the social car.
Okay. So she's just in like the classic kind of train car with the two benches.
Like you guys
Okay.
have, yep.
Okay. Yeah, I would walk into the car and kind of like a quick bow to her or whatever, and parlez-vous anglais?
Roll a charm for me here.
I'm pushing it. Success?
Yep, as you success. As as you go in and you kind of open the door and walk into her car, she turns and looks, and you can see a very attractive Italian woman. She's younger. She's probably in her like mid-20s. The veil has been lifted, and she's sitting staring out the window. And as you walk in, you can tell that she has been, her cheeks are still wet where she's been crying. Her eyes carry the heavy swell of someone who has spent quite a bit of time dealing with some type of sorrow. And when she turns, she says, I speak English.
Oh, well, saints be praised for that, my dear. And seeing the tears, Pete will kind of take on the conciliatory act, as it were. And if you don't mind me asking, ma'am, based upon your present garb, it would appear you seem sad, my dear.
With your charm roll, you can tell that she's very guarded. And she indicates the seat opposite her, the bench opposite her, for you to have a seat. My father passed away.
Oh, so Pete would sit leaning probably towards the edge of the bench, kind of leaning in, and would be bold and try to go to put a hand out on hers, and just kind of a loss of a parent is never an easy thing.
Yeah, I'm going to need another one of those charm rolls as you reach out and touch the daughter in mourning.
Success, barely.
Yeah, as you touch, you reach over, she kind of holds up her hand to wave off the contact before you actually make contact with her. She's not irritated by it, but you can tell that it's just kind of a not dismissive, but just a please.
Yeah, and Pete would begin telling some tale about how he had lost his father. That sounds extremely tragic, but is wholly made up and unreal.
And with that, we're going to roll a persuasion check as you are weaving this finely crafted tapestry of bullshit.
Hard success.
Sounds good. So as you tell this tale of tragedy and woe, you can see her eyes soften a bit as she sort of nods and, without saying it, offers you her own shared sympathies for the loss of your father. It opens her a bit, and she leans forward, not conspiratorially, but something along those lines as a shared whisper or a moment, even though you two are the only ones on the train in this compartment. And she leans forward and she says, "Do you know a Mr. White?"
Mr. White. Oh, Mr. White. I can't necessarily say that I do, but I could definitely keep an eye out for him.
I tell you what, I will allow you to roll an idea roll, which is intelligence. If you succeed, I will allow your team to assist you if they know who a Mr. White is. It'd be something that they would have maybe shared with Pete, or you would have... Okay, anybody know who Mr. White is so you can... Sure.
It is Werner Schmidt's contact in Constantinople. Notes! They're important.
Oh, John White, right?
Yeah.
But we
That's
haven't.
my assumption.
We haven't met though, right? We just know of the name.
Correct.
Yeah, we know his name.
Yeah. So Pete would, being surprisingly honest, would actually say that, as it happens, that I was hoping to come across Mr. White, but I cannot say I've had the opportunity of meeting him. Are you also in search of Mr. White?
He worked with my father. He contacted me and told me what had happened. I'm to meet one of his men or people in Venice. At our home.
Oh, so you have a home in Venice.
That is where my father lives, yes.
Oh. Well, my dear, I am been completely rude and forgotten myself. Allow me to introduce myself. Pete Abraham, my dear.
She smiles a bit, or maybe it's best to say her eyes soften. It's as much of a smile as she can produce, and she nods, settles back a bit, and her carriage and her kind of bearing seems to relax, and you can tell that she seems to be incredibly weary.
Okay, picking up on it, I would offer to join her for a drink in the social car when time is permitting.
She accepts,
Yeah.
and she says, or we can just talk. And she sort of indicates where you're sitting right now.
Oh, yeah. Then I would talk, trying to more so listen, which is unlike Pete.
Yeah, so basically what she's saying is she's definitely going to rest, but if you want to come back later, it's something that she might not be up for the social car, but if you want to share time, and as you seem to know Mr. White, she would definitely want to talk with you more, just perhaps here in her car.
Okay, yeah. I would take the clue. And then I would depart and go back to the car. Probably grabbing
Okay.
a drink on the way through the social car.
Absolutely. I don't want to empty that wonderful flask. So as you're going and getting your drink, we're going to have Barney arrive just as the style montage is beginning for Aphrodite and the suit of Joe. Kids, take it away. Tell me what happens
This is
here.
hilarious because May had no idea about any fashion things. If you've noticed how she dresses, so she's just like, she just probably, she entered into the car with Aphrodite,
Yeah, she was naked
taking the
when you
suit
got
off
back.
of Joe's shoulder.
Oh,
Whoever got here first, she was just naked, waiting.
Oh yeah, so here's the suit for Jesus Christ.
Okay, and she'll grab
She's naked again. Everyone.
and
Bonnie, don't go in there.
just she'll slide the door enough to get in. Okay. Clothes. And she just kind of puts them on the bed. Maybe don't these.
Don't rip
the
suit. Please don't rip the suit. It's very expensive.
Joe,
That makes me want to rip it.
no, please.
I know it probably makes you want to rip it, but don't rip it because it's mine, because it's expensive.
May will open up the door. Joe, I have it. please stop yelling through the door. Thank you.
Uh,
Pat him on the arm again and close the door.
Yeah.
She won't rip it. She'll try and look presentable as best as she can. Just like basically she's just like putting on the suit and like trying to tie it so that probably using is Mimi shit in here from like forever ago?
Yeah, you guys have access to all of Mimi's clothes that's, believe it or not, fit you perfectly.
I know.
Because
I
you're
don't
the
want
same
those
person.
though. I like this suit and I want the suit.
I know. This is like prison shit, you know? I know that I have the same food, but I want your food. So Joe's getting, I got it.
I just
Roger
like
that.
taking it from him. That's it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
May will help like to, roll up cuffs or whatever so it's not dragging on the ground or looking too often.
We got to do something about the hair.
Yeah. She kind of like looks at the
Something about it.
Yeah. May just keeps hers in a bun. She's like, okay. Yeah, she'll just pick a brush. Do you want to brush your hair or?
She just turns around so that you can brush it.
Oh, okay. Very hesitantly. Kind of. Like, methodically trying not to hurt her, but also clearly not wanting to touch her from any more than she has to. May still has some weird feelings about Aphrodite. So she's gonna and she'll once it's kind of done, she'll braid it. It's crazy long hair. Braid it up.
I want a power check from Aphrodite, and this one needs to be extreme or hard to pass.
What?
I'm gonna go for it. Fuck. Nope.
As we say, the dice tell the story. And as May is kind of combing through your hair, which is probably much, much longer than May would have ever kept hers, or I'm sorry, as Mimi would have ever kept hers. But as May is combing through your hair, Aphrodite, you have this flashback to, for you, years and years ago, much longer than the simple 18 that may have been indicated from 33 to 15. And you remember a lifelong thought lost where Mimi sat in a similar fashion and May combed through her hair in the evenings when they would whisper and talk and laugh and become friends. And this is what you remember. You remember May. You remember what she meant to you. And you remember her combing your hair.
Ouch.
Ow. Yeah,
Yeah.
so at this point, I think she would have started, taking sections and braiding it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This should keep things tidy. And I don't know why. I mean, yes, it's his clothes, but I don't know why he has this whole thing about, women wearing men's clothes. I agree, they're much more freeing.
More practical.
Yeah. I mean, and she kind of like indicates towards her bag. I don't work on a dress usually.
I wish that you wouldn't feel so uneasy around me.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be able to change that.
Give me your hand. And she like holds out her hand.
Why?
Just give it to me.
Okay. Kind of very hesitantly.
What's your favorite feeling?
I guess that she keeps like looking at like Aphrodite being like, I don't know what's your game. Moment when I figure something out that's been stumping me for a while.
Pride, maybe?
I guess it's not just one feeling. I don't know what Why are you asking?
I want to give her that feeling.
Like elation and discovery.
Yeah.
Sure. Roll a power check for me. Extreme or
I'll
hard.
fucking crit it. Look at what I spend my last crit on, everybody. Who care? Goodbye
Love it.
to my crits.
Goodbye, sweet world. You feel it, Kiana. May feels that power of discovery go through her. That moment where the circuit connects. That moment where the equation balances. That moment where what was unknown is now revealed. And you feel it more profoundly than you ever have in your entire life. But it's not a hollow, empty type of gift or just a deliverance of the feeling. You actually feel it for this reason. The mystery that was Aphrodite, that had been unknown, you now believe you have revealed. And for a moment in that discovery, both by the gifting of the emotion and the belief of May, you see Mimi again.
Kind of. Oh. That was interesting.
She lets go of your hand.
Huh. Thanks. And Aphrodite will be able to feel that she's much more at ease with you. Oh, we should probably let the guys in talk to them. I'm sure that we're going to do something for them to open the door without even knocking. All right.
Outside, Barney would have wanted to have a moment with Joe before they finished dressing at some point.
Sure, absolutely. And Other Doc has replaced the crit because if you read in chat, it was too good to use. So, yeah, Barney, as you would walk up, or Don, as Barney would walk up, Joe's standing there, and Joe goes, don't go in there. They're dressing naked again, just as we saw in the snow. They're completely naked again. They're wearing my suit.
I wouldn't get so bent up out of shape about the suit, Joe. We can get more suits. Do you smoke? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. German. Of course we smoke.
American cigarette.
We are German. We don't smoke. We smoke because we put it in the fingers like this. And so he will, of course.
I noted. Hey, this is off topic. What's going on with you and May? I know you've been hanging around her a lot, Joe. You've been spending a lot of time with May.
She's a fascinating woman. She's brilliant. Keenest minds I think I have ever come across with these mechanical things that she works on. It's fascinating. It's
Right,
intoxicating. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing what she's capable of doing, and how brave she was back in the snow too. The way that she just rushed out there. She didn't even have a gun, coming to help fight that whatever that thing was.
Right. It was amazing. She runs across. She has just this glove.
Just the glove.
She stood there in front of it. There's no fear. It's a sight to behold. It will live in my mind like a portrait forever.
Yeah, but it should stay there, though. And that's what I'm getting at, Joe, is that there's a lot going on right now. And then I don't, we're just getting to know each other. And I like you. I like everybody in the group. Everybody's capable and obviously brave. But with the stakes, everything that's happening, everything we don't know, how dangerous our situation is here. I just want to say, I think that we should all keep everything professional. That's all. I just thought I would say that.
Professional? You mean you saying that you believe that I have romantic intentions to me?
Oh, no, I didn't mean to. I mean, I just thought it was worth saying now. We didn't really have a meeting or anything to discuss what the perimeters are of our business here. But, I know, having been in a war, that there's bonds that are forged through conflict, through danger, bonds of friendship, men that I fought beside, that I could never lose that bond. But between a man and a woman, I think that can build in a different way, Joe. And I just thought it was worth saying that we all need to stay focused right now. That's all.
Roll a psychology check for me.
All right. I'm going to push this, if you'll let me.
Yeah, sure. I will. Okay. You're 14 off. I will let you luck the push if you want to. Technically, I don't have to, but I'll let you. If you want to spend 14 on it, you can.
No, give me the bad stuff.
Okay.
That's cool.
So the psychology roll was to decide whether or not you would pick up on the fact that Joe knows exactly what you're trying to say, but is just allowing you to go on and continue to say things as he's getting some type of amusement out of it. The complication for pushing this roll is this. Just as you finish up your last statement, Joe's face kind of crinkles a bit, and he cocks his head and he goes, "You like her, don't you?" That's it.
I mean, I have respect for her, Joe. I mean, I respect all of you.
Respect is what it is. Yeah. Sure.
Good.
Barney, sure.
Yeah. I'm glad we had this talk, Joe. I'm glad we had this talk.
Oh, so am I.
I hope the finishing up there soon. I actually have to talk to Aphrodite.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is, after the montage is done inside, and even though this is delicious RP, I am going to fast forward us to Milan the following morning. It's only about 8 to 9 hours from our current point, but we will say this as getting a little frames. You're jumping around a little bit down there, Finney, and I don't want to put you in a big heavy RP situation when until it straightens itself out. You guys, Pete learns the following. Now that he's gained the confidence of Maria Stagliani, she invites Pete to her father's home in under the premise that if somebody from Mr. White is going to show up there, she would prefer to have somebody that is of a similar bent and understanding. So it is up to all of you if you would like to either accompany Maria Stagliani to her home or if you would like to meet her later.
I think Barney would definitely encourage us to, or at least some of the group, to accompany her. He would also make sure that Aphrodite is aware that he saw who he believes to either be an older version of Emile Duchamp's or maybe just another creature like Emile Duchamp's.
Oh, yeah. She would have confirmed with the feeling when he got on the train, and probably would want to escort her home. Like knowing he's on the train and that she's the target.
All right, so as you get through there, you are taken, it's pretty close to the train station actually, as you guys are going through Venice. You don't really get to the canal area proper. It's a very nice townhome here in central Venice. She walks up and you can already see, as is the Italian custom, there is like draped, or for this particular provincial area of Italy, there is kind of like wraps of black cloth over both the windowsills, above the door, and down the hand railings, as people have begun to mourn in the absence of Maria, presumably for her father Peter. And as she goes up and lets you in, you are not greeted by servants. The house is presumably empty. And as soon as she walks in, she heads immediately to her right, as you can see that there is a body there laid in state in what would be a library or a study.
Aphrodite kind of hangs back towards the front of the house, the front door.
Okay.
Barney too, with Aphrodite, just trying to keep a lookout to see, if anybody approaches or if anybody's been following.
Finny, what would Pete do?
On her heels. Keep the kind of like solemn look and just kind of acting as an offering do.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. We'll keep you real close to her, as, if she stumbles or anything like that, there's an assistance there, ready assistance by Honest Pete Abraham. Everybody that walks into the house, Aphrodite included, even though she's by the front door, roll a spot hidden for me, please. Okay, so let's see, Dawn, as you walk in, and Aphrodite, as you walk in, and Joe, as he walks in, Joe seemingly on the alert now, as he has a focus for his attention, which is, of course, competition. And as he walks in, the people that pass the spot hidden see the following. Throughout this entire place it's heavily laden with Roman Catholic iconography. You see that there are depictions both of a carved and a statue or sculpture nature of both the crucifixion and the trial of Christ. As you all, with the extremes, I'm going to give Aphrodite the following. From your position at the front door, when you turn and look, you can see that this library, where the body is laid at state, has a large desk in it. and there appears to be several papers and letters. They're organized, but they are on the top of the desk and displayed pretty prominently. Joe walks right over to the desk and kind of puts his finger down, flips open what looks like a letter, and turns and shows it to Barney. And at the bottom, you can see the signature of a White. You can make out a J White or a P White as it reaches the bottom. When you look through the letter, it says, to paraphrase, that originally her father had been contacted to go to Constantinople. The letter also says that they are aware of the lineage of Mr. Stagliani and would very much like to have him and his family represented at this historic event. You also find near to the letter a almost bullet point version of what would be the highlights of what Lorna Campbell Barnes referred to as the Acts of Pilate. It recounts the life of Pilate after the crucifixion, his conversion to Christianity, and his canonization by many Christian religions outside the Catholic faith. It also marks his feast day as the 25th of June, in honor of his love for Jesus. Now, according to a gospel by a Peter, not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but yet a third gospel of unknown origin, this one by a Peter, it refers to events that seemingly take place after the resurrection. And the quote is, "Under cover of darkness, Pilate brought forth his centurions and cordoned off the tomb of Christ before the Sanhedrin could arrive and claim blasphemy or ruse. Pilate himself was covered in blood, and his countenance bore the weight of having just fought a great battle. The apostles too were weary and savaged. When the Sanhedrin arrived, Pilate met them with a gaze so profound and words so certain that none of those doubted the resurrection of the Christ." Jesus Christ, Bonnie. I mean, literally.
This is like the ramblings of some sort of madman, Joe. I mean, this doesn't make any sort of sense. This is a work of fiction, pure fiction, right? Obviously.
There's a lot of notes and books here for something that be pure fiction. A lot of people share the same affinity for tall tales.
This John White, he refers to a big upcoming event in Constantinople. Everyone in Constantinople, they're looking for these books, especially this one, the Acts of Pilate. A second time now, two different sources looking for this gospel, or aware of this gospel. This, the feast day of Pilate, June 25th. Do you think that might be this big upcoming event in Constantinople that John White's talking about?
I do not know. But yes, Werner Schmidt said something similar. That this White it brought them as well. He and Maxine. I do not know. As this is going on, and this takes several minutes, May, what are you doing?
May is probably, looking around the house, seeing if there's anything unusual about its make or about its, anything that sticks out again. She's someone who looks at patterns and sees if there's anything that breaks that pattern.
Roll another spot hidden for me.
Oh boy.
Summer, what's Aphrodite doing?
She saw everything on the desk as well. But I think she's going over to stand by the body. Because is suspicious um, of this death. And so she's probably standing next to Maria. I'm sorry for your loss.
She seems to be where somebody, exhaustion coupled with despair, coupled with sorrow. She's kneeling down beside the table, just kind of hand over the top of the sheet that has been laid over the body. If she recognizes or appreciates what you've said, she doesn't seem to react.
Oh man, I really want to know how this guy died, but there's no good way to do this while she's like right here. Aphrodite turns to May. May,
Yeah. What's up?
maybe you should take Maria to get something to eat. He's had a long trip.
Sure. Miss Stagliani, get food, I guess.
Roll a charm, persuasion, or fast talk for me, May.
Come on, May. Pull it together.
Like, I'll use a crit.
Okay.
I'll help with whatever Summer's doing.
You got to know your limitations, right? So, in critting that, she looks up, and the acceptance and knowing, her father's as sad as he's not going anywhere. So she nods and gets up and kind of takes you back to the rear of the home where the kitchen resides. And as you're passing your prior spot hidden roll, May, as Kiana, as May is going back, and she continues to look with that scientist's eye, looking for irregularities. You notice that built into the very architecture of the house, even in like the crown molding and the chair rails and the wood carvings, you see this continuation of this Roman Catholic iconography. And anything other than an extreme roll would have missed the following. You see written in various forms as you walk through. Do you speak Latin by any chance?
I do not think so. Nope.
I tell you what we'll do. Roll an intelligence check for me. You see some Latin, and because of your...
God damn it.
I will remind you, you have an advantage as well.
I do.
If
yes, I will
if
use
you
that.
wish. Okay.
There we go.
Alrighty, with the second kind of rededication to looking at it, it says in Latin, and now you can see it almost everywhere as it points out these different kind of anomalies in the actual decoration of the house. It's basically a greeting, a welcome to the house of Pilate. The body is alone.
Thank God. I want to find out how he died if I can. I'll just
Sure,
touch around, mess around, undress if I need to. Quickly.
There's currently a sheet over the body. How are you? Okay, let me just change that music.
Oh.
Thank you very much for the raid, everybody. Coming in from my man Pro. You hit it at an appropriate time, as a sheet has just been pulled off a body in Cthulhu, which we all know means something interesting. So, as you pull off this sheet, you see the following. There is not an old man. There is not a body that appears rested or ready to be prepared for state. You see a body about 6 feet tall, It is wrapped in leather straps from head to toe. Its arms are bound to its chest in almost a funereal representation of an Egyptian mummy, bound tight in a cross. So tight as to see the shape and curve of its skull are the leather straps around its head. Blood, still fresh, still warm, pours from the spaces between the compressed leather. And with a push, 2 bone appendages that sprout out of its back push the body upright onto the top of the desk. I would like everyone to roll a d10. For good rolls, everybody. That's the sanity loss, and of course for Aphrodite, this is a power check. However, you are in proximity with all of the other Olympians, including Joe, who you have accepted as at least the friend that you like the least. So go ahead and roll that check. You should be good. So as a surge comes through Aphrodite, you are able to hold it back as this creature lifts up, and everybody sees this now. Barney, Joe, Pete, you all see this creature just kind of, with its arms stretched, stand up perfectly onto the chair, onto the top of the tabletop of the desk. And as it looks around at all of you, you hear in your minds, because you cannot see lips move between the wraps of its face, "I shall augment your power, and I ask only its return in the event of your death." However, Honest Pete Abraham and Aphrodite, resting in what would be the stomach of this creature, is the only space not covered by leather straps. In its gut, you see a rolling mass, a very small version of the creature that killed Honest Pete Abraham. Without the need of a roll, Aphrodite, you know what this will become. And
Can
Pete,
I kill it?
you see your death. The offer is there, kids. Power and an augmentation of abilities. But this thing seems to be powered by the stitch together.
No way. I'm just shoving my hand in it and ripping it out.
Awesome. Let's all roll some decks then, as the equivalent of an initiative has been started. Okay, so it looks like Aphrodite, Barney. Oh, wait, Joe's got to go in there too. Joe, of course. He doesn't suck as bad as everybody else. Joe. And then we've got May. And then we've got Pete, who is witnessing his own death. So as you guys turn and look, Aphrodite, you see the stitch together. You see this wrapped man as he produces an offer, one that you are going to speak for everyone else and decline?
Yeah. Sorry, friends.
All right. Give me, tell me whatever you're going to do, and I'll tell you what you need to roll as we see what happens.
I'm going to just claw it out.
Sure.
Yeah. Just get rid of it.
Let's claw it. Let's do it. I love this plan. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Awesome.
That'll work. That's a hard success as you deal 2 damage to this creature as when your fingers cut into it, you can feel it kind of go into this blob in the center. You do strike it, but what you pull away is more like dripping water. Water that you would be reminded of from the area that you swam in, the same type of almost primordial juice that drips off your talons as you look at it, or you don't have talons, but your fingers and your nails as you look down at it. And Barney, you've seen this escalate quickly. What would you like to do, my friend?
For a second, still reeling from that voice inside his head, does he feel like there's still something up there, or does it feel like when she reached into the stomach, it was like the silencing of a conversation?
You continued to hear that link or feel that link, but you heard what almost sounded like a dismissive sigh.
There's definitely a moment of curiosity in Barney, but then he sees what's obviously another sort of monstrosity, something living inside what looks like it might have once been a man. Is it like, is it moving, or is it just standing there?
So far, its turn has not come up, but so far it is just strapped. Think of a mummy. It's come full up. You can see the blue eyes kind of between the wraps. Blood's pouring from the marks that aren't compressed by these leather straps. And there are 2 bone appendages that look very much like clawed or hooked 3-fingered hands that seem to be more for just, ease of being able to articulate or move, as what would have been considered the limbs of the man are wrapped and placed heavily and strongly against the chest.
Barney will pull out his shotgun and storm from the office into the room where the man is, taking a side, stepping to the side, and he'll ready the shotgun at the leather wrapped creature. But he'll call out and he'll say, "Wait, we don't know what this is. We don't know what's going on here."
I know what it is. Kill it.
What?
Kill it.
I will give you guys, since this isn't D&D, you guys can yell out for free actions. Pete, feel free to add anything if you'd like to.
I think Pete is probably still over, kind of just going through his head in a daze at the moment, given the fumble for my initiative.
You're not stunned, though, so if you want to yell out something, go ahead. But yeah, this is coming down to Aphrodite and Barney as Joe pulls out that kind of copper and brass pistol he has as he's waiting for Barney to show him the way. Because if there's an argument, he's definitely siding with Barney if it's with Aphrodite.
Yeah, Pete would probably just yell out something to the effect that that's the creature that killed me.
Oh, then he fires.
But you're not dead. And okay, so go ahead and roll for an attack.
All right. Let's see here.
Boom for 14 as pieces of the leather wrap go flying off, and a couple of the wraps kind of spring with the tension that had been left on them. And as they spring and kind of snap around, Barney, you duck as one of them goes like flying over your head, as these things seem to be under a tremendous amount of actual pull, belying the elasticity of normal leather where it would have snapped. These seem to be very, very, flexible to the point where they can, when they snap back, it causes momentum and it causes like flight in this instance. But with that, you also do 14 damage as you pump into this thing several mighty blasts with the shotgun. Do you have anything else you'd like to do as you fire off?
Oh, be careful there. Don't do what I did. Don't free it.
As the shot goes off, I would like all of the mortals in the room to roll me a sanity check. And so that's going to be Joe, Honest Pete Abraham, and Barney, as May is not there yet. Okay, so for everybody but Joe, I will let you in on what Joe sees. Joe sees that instead of bone arms above this wrapped man, there are whirling blades of metal that seem to be both propelling and keeping the creature in this upright position. The head is revealed as horns grow from in between the leather straps. Bouncing between the two horns are arcane glyphs that seem to sputter and spit like arcs of electricity, wrapping around the horns and back across. And the face itself is some vast nebula of some unknown galaxy. And before he can do anything, Joe grabs his head. The gun clatters to the ground as he drops and begins to rock back and forth. And the creature attacks. As Aphrodite is right in front of it, one of the straps springs off of one of these bone arms in the back just below it, and it wraps around Aphrodite. I would like a strength check from the god. Okay, so with the strength check, you are able to kind of work your way free of this creature, and the strap fails to hold purchase, and you will take 3 points of damage as it kind of backs away from you, reassessing the situation and getting into a better stance to combat the group of you. Joe's turn comes up. Joe is down. May, you hear some weird shit going on in the room you just left.
I do. I kind of turn, hearing, probably the gunshot. I turn to Pearson. Go to the kitchen. Right now.
Roll a persuasion or a... This is coming from the room of her father's corpse.
Yup. Okay, let's try that. 1 point! I will spend a 1 point of my luck.
Okay, so you are able to persuade her to stay where she is. She doesn't necessarily hide, but she sort of gets in the far corner of the kitchen, kind of waiting expectantly. May, what do you do?
Before I go on, if anything comes here, scream, yell, okay? Yep. She's gonna turn around and head towards the room she just left.
Okay, so as you kind of hop to, he'll turn around and spin back out. How are you approaching this room? Are you going in guns a-blazing, or are you going in... You tell me how you're going in, Kiana.
So as she strides there, she's pulling out the new glove and putting it on. And remembering how the last time it went, she's not going guns blazing, or rather, glove sparking? Whatever. She's kind of, sticking to the wall, and she's at least going to look over and try to assess what's happening. She had no idea.
Okay, so as you kind of creep forward with your back against the wall, and as you slide up to the door frame leading into the library, your cheek, as you pull close, there is the carvings right along the doorway, and the House of Pilate is right beside May's cheek as she stops and spins around and peeks in, and you see what's going on. You see Joe down. You see Aphrodite being like pushed back and breaks free of these straps, and you see the creature in front of you, which causes you to roll a d10. That 3 is the sanity that you lose as you see the creature for what it is. You shake it off, though. You're able to continue with your action, whatever you would like to do. It seems that your friends, the members of Project Cronus, are engaged in combat with yet another being of unspeakable power.
Great, lovely. Joe's down, right?
Joe's super down. Joe's like down. He really wishes he had that other suit, as this one is currently piss stained. He is having a real bad mental image right now.
Yeah. He's down. He's gonna be an easy target. May's gonna try to grab him and come on, and drag him away through the door out of the library.
Roll a power check for me.
Oh boy. I'm gonna crit that.
Okay. So as you crit that, let me see. Let me take you down. It takes you down to 2. As you crit that, as soon as you grab Joe and you say these words to him, you see his eyes weaken and relax away from this terrified, open glare. And he weakens and he looks and he sees you and he smiles and he says, "Me," as you pull him back. And you realize that whatever it was, whether your words, your contact, or your actions, have drug him from this threshold of insanity where he was. And as you drag him, you see his other hand reach back and grab the pistol as you guys slide by. Alrighty, Pete, it's up to you, bud.
So how close am I to the bodies, or to the monster?
You're basically kind of like right catty corner in the same room with Barney and Aphrodite, and this sucker's right in the center of all of you guys.
All right, I will, seeing this creature and having the recollection of the demise of honest Pete Abraham, Pete would just say something that, well, Pete, you've got my vote, and I will get as close as I can, and if I can, I will fan the hammer using straight shooter.
Absolutely, you are well within fan the hammer distance with straight shooter.
Aiming for the center mass area.
Center mass. Okay, I will tell you this. You'll hit regardless with a success. With the fan the hammer, if it is an extreme, it hits directly center mass. If it's hard, it'll kind of give you a little bit of a help in there, but it is, you can get as close as you want to. And what would you like to do, Pete? So you can hit it, but when you roll these, regular success is just that. Hard is a partial hit of the thing that's in the center, and an extreme is a direct hit.
Okay, and can I just roll the first 2 and then make a judgment call on a user crit for the last one?
Yes, I'm feeling benevolent. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Oh!
Lucky Pete Abraham.
Pete don't want to die. Oh, that's the best. Okay, roll the second one for me, man.
Okay, regular.
And did you want to use your, as you took this thing?
We'll say we rolled one, so we'll leave it. We'll keep the one in store.
So as honest Pete Abraham steps forward, delivers his line about voting on this election day, Pete fans the hammer of the straight shooter, a gift from the people of New York City for the 99th mayor of that beloved burg. And as you fire into the center mass, the creature around it seems unharmed, but the creature inside it bursts. And as it runs from inside the cavity, the womb of this wrapped man, back in 1933. Mimi, You are standing in what looks like an asylum. You only know this because of the medical and hospital rules that seem to be plastered haphazardly across this hallway. You look down at the end of the hallway, and there, sitting up and pulling themselves into an upright position, is Honest Pete Abraham. Only it is an Honest Pete Abraham far older than the one that you met in Paris. May and Barney, the terror that had frozen you in place in this room overlooking Hong Kong is gone. And as you all step out into the hallway, you see that the water from the cylinder room just behind Honest Pete Abraham begins to creep forward. 6 inches, 12 inches, 2 feet, 4 feet, as this wall of water begins to go faster and faster down the hallway. And as you all sit and grab your heads, losing like a dream the memory of Honest Pete Abraham dying, the memory of Ruby trapped inside of a creature that no longer exists, as your mind fragments for a second, instead of losing sanity, you all gain 10, as the horrors experienced by the Stitch Together have been erased from your minds. But now, before you, you see the rushing of the water that claimed the cylinder room. You see an Aphrodite, not as you remembered her recently, but as you remembered her in the past. The beautiful Savannah Siren, Mimi. And Mimi, as you're sitting there seeing all of this, a Barney, gray and weathered, a May, older than the one that you knew. The four of you turn and look. Maxine Schmidt among you, her ear still missing, blood still coming down the side of her cheek. As the doors begin to darken with the water encroachment, and back against the door that had previously exploded with the strength of the Stitch Together, there is a purple swirl, and you see snowflakes blow in from the outside. What will you do?
Do we remember what we experienced in 1915 with Aphrodite going back in the past?
No.
Okay. May,
Oh my god.
get up, we have to go.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Pete, you okay?
Yeah, my vote would be we get the hell out of here.
Okay. And she's just like looking at everyone and looking at Mimi. Eyes wide.
Mimi? Or is that Aphrodite?
This looks like Mimi.
Barney?
Oh.
Yeah, it's me, Barney. Hey, I don't know what's going on with you right now, but we have to go.
Yeah, all right.
Mimi, follow us. Barney will get up to his feet and he's moving slower. Heart still kind of pounding after taking a look at the arcanic runes of the room. Seeing, we remember the Stitch Together.
It's fading, though.
It's fading, though. Seeing the wall approach, I think he would try to get moving and make sure everybody's following. And the only door, is that the only door we see, that open purple door?
Correct. Everybody roll a spot hidden for me, please. Mimi, as you look around, you look down, and at your feet seems to be an ancient stone tablet.
Can I pick it up?
You sure can.
Yeah, it's basically right at her feet, so she leans over and picks it up. Is this important? Well, I'll just bring it with me.
Yeah, it might be.
So the water is now passed through the room, and you guys are creeping back. It is closed off, all but the purple door. And with the swirl, as the closer you get, you feel the cold air blowing through whatever it is on the other side of this purple.
All right, well, I've done it once. We might as well go back through, right?
Barney pulls the neck of his turtleneck up a little higher.
Yeah, she's still wearing her like winter coat.
Yeah. He says, "It's just windows. It's all just windows. It's all right. Let's all go together."
Here.
Tell me how you're going in.
Fingers.
Who with
Barney would stay with May.
Mimi would go first. She's just making a little loop.
And Pete, you have Maxine Schmidt, who's unconscious. Are you still helping her, or are you just leaving her to the water?
I will attempt to help her until such time as I deemed I could not anymore, and then I would drop her like a bad habit.
Okay. Roll me a strength check if you're doing it by yourself. You automatically do it if someone's helping you.
No.
You can't hold her. If you spend 8 luck, you can.
You know what? I'll spend the 8 luck.
Alrighty. So Pete and Maxine. And as you go into the purple doorway, May and Barney, or first Mimi, then May and Barney, then Maxine and Pete. That is where we will end this, our penultimate episode of Project Cronus. Next week we have the finale, and we also have a donation to Make the Horror Worse, which will be coming into play for these fine people next week. And so I thank everyone for their fantastic contributions and for your fantastic engagement today for our penultimate episode. Let's go around and talk to everybody. Let's go backwards to go forwards. Don, how are you doing, bud?
I'm good. I didn't expect, I think I got so used to 1915 that when we jump back to 1933, I was like, oh, whoa, we're back. Oh, wow. And that's exciting. I loved the descriptions of the wrapped man. I really liked the intrigue of this whole different Gospels thing, the Acts of Pilate. Like, I really am enjoying the story in 1915, but I really love 1933. And after, I think, a couple of months of us having been away from it, or, it feels like that, at least to me, I'm excited to get back into it. Yeah. Follow me at Donathan Fry on Twitter. I've got Masks of Nyarlathotep on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. on Counter Roleplay with Greg. We're going to have our first episode this upcoming Wednesday. It's going to be a great time. There's a couple episodes of Tomes and Tentacles left this season, so that story of the podcast is wrapping up, so you can follow that at Tentacles Pod on Twitter if you haven't listened to it already. Ben Counters the keeper for it, and he's fantastic. I really enjoy that story. Yeah, I have a lot of Cthulhu going on right now. I have a lot to I have to compress this episode. I have to think about it, but I loved it.
Awesome, brother. Let's jump over to Adam. Adam, how are you doing, buddy? And what are you thinking? Where can we find you?
Man, another great episode. I think the highlight for me, the Honest Pete endorsement goes to the Barney Joe role play back and forth with the outing of the love affair or a triangle that's there. I think that was awesome. Awesome. Well done, Don and Greg, both of you. At Flathagen, I'm here every Saturday, attempting to stay alive as best I can as one honest Pete Abraham. Great group of people. Follow everybody, and stealing another line from Steven. But thank you so much for everybody for watching, and thanks for letting me be here.
Awesome, brother. Thank you for being here. I wish we could have had a moment with the RP between Barney and Maria in the room, but I didn't want to put you through that with when your net cut out. Of course, that always believe me. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you and punch the internet one day, and we'll get it. Let's jump up to someone that is not scared to punch anything, and that is Summer. Summer, how are you doing? Where can we find you? And are you ready for next week?
I'm doing great. This was so good. I'm so excited. There are so many good moments. I will have to go back and rewatch this like immediately because so much happened. And it's just hard to like pick it all apart, but it was a lot of fun. I'm really, really so excited that my sweet angel is with these fucks. Like, she has so many questions and it's just going to ruin everything. And I'm so excited. I'm very excited for next week. Holy heck. You can find me on Twitter at Just a Summer Job. And you can find me streaming Monday through Friday on Off the Table. Right after this, I'm hopping over to Unmade Gaming for the charity stream that's going on today. I'm going to be playing The King is Dead, which is just always a great time. So I'm really excited, but I cannot wait for next week. It's going to be so good.
Fantastic, fantastic. And finally, the object of affection for both Joe and Barney in 1915. Kiana, how are you doing? And where can we find you?
I am doing great. My God, I had so many really cool little role-playing moments, which I really enjoyed. Had a terrifying fucking monster in it. We fucked the timeline completely. In a good way? Maybe. Who knows? I am super excited for the finale next week. I have no idea what's going to happen in 1915 or 1933. But you know what? I'm ready for it, whatever happens. But yes, I am Kiana. You guys can find me over on Twitter at Kiana S. Best way to figure out what I am doing, because I am all over the internet playing role-playing games almost every day of the week, quite literally. The best way to figure out what I'm doing, I will plug my brand new series, which premiered last night, Adventures in the Wild Blue. Over 2 different streams is a Lady Blackburn campaign where we have 2 different rival groups existing in the same world. They influence each other. One's on Off the Table. Next week is going to be on Spartacus, and we alternate to see what cool swashbuckling, sci-fi, steampunk adventures we get up to. So again, Twitter's the best way to figure out what I'm doing, and I cannot wait for next week, and I will be internally screaming until then.
Awesome. And like I always say, please follow all of these wonderful people. Their links are in the chat. As for me, Grimjack21502 on the Twitches and the Twitters, coming here to the channel starting this Friday, we are going to have a mini event, a mini campaign set in the Outbreak Undead world of the Hunters Inc. game. It's the same one that Ivan Van Norman plays on Alpha when they do Frontier. So we're going to have several groups of survivors placed into a zombie apocalypse. They are going to interact with each other peripherally as we see who survives in my homebrew world of Garrett. So as they go in, we will see different groups each Friday negotiate through the witching months towards Halloween. Also coming to the channel, we have 2 brand new shows. One coming Wednesday night, one coming Friday night. We will make better announcements on those when we're ready to. But they're coming, and I hope you guys enjoy that. Conan will be returning. But tomorrow night, if you like Pulp Cthulhu, we will be continuing the story of Project Athena. We will be going from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is their penultimate episode, and I will tell you this, the effects of this episode that you have just watched will play and have an effect on tomorrow night's show. So, and vice versa. So as we get into all of this, please, everyone, let's go over, and the mention was made of Unmade Gaming, ALS charity going on right now. We want to go over and support them. So tell them where you came from. Hit that follow button to follow us whenever we go live. But more importantly, if you got a couple bits, send them his way for the ALS research. Everybody, donations, thank you so much. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the raids. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Until next week, though, everyone, get ready. It's going to be a good one.